Hello friends, welcome to Tech Talk. In this course, we will be learning about Active Directory domain services. This is the first video in this course. So in this lecture, we'll be learning about the basics of workgroup and domain. So what is a workgroup? What is a domain? Why do we need them? When we should be using them? Those things. Also, we will be discussing a bit on Microsoft Active Directory domain services, their basic terminologies, a basic domain structure. So let's get started. So first, we will be learning what is a work group. So imagine in a very small space where there are very limited number of computers, say 3 to 4 computers. They are connected to each other through a switch. This networking structure is generally called peer-to-peer. Like one computer is directly connected to the other through a switch, through a LAN cable. So what happens when a user needs to log in to any such computer? He must give his user ID and password for that. So this user credential is stored on that computer. So in the diagram on the right side, we see there are 3 computers. Let's say those 3 computers belong to Eric, Kevin, and Lucy, respectively, from left to right. So Eric sits on the leftmost computer, Lucy sits on the rightmost computer. So one day, Eric came to office and found that the power cable in his computer is not working, and Lucy was having an off that day. So Kevin decided to continue his work in his own desktop, and Eric decided to sit in Lucy's computer to do that day's work. But when he tried to log in, he couldn't, because his user ID was not created in Lucy's computer. In Lucy's computer, only Lucy's user detail was there. So that means that the login details, that is the user credentials and everything, are local to the computers. Like if I create a user in Lucy's computer, it will be in Lucy's computer only, not in any other's computer. Similarly, say the administrator did create Eric's account into Lucy's computer. Now when Eric will change his password in his computer, that password will not be changed in Lucy's computer. In Lucy's computer, Eric's account still has the old password. So password is also not replicated. So these are very localized in nature. So the credentials are local to the computer. Another thing, when I would ask a network administrator or administrator to create my account or to update my account, to change the password, whatever it is, network administrator would have to log into every computer where that user ID is there and change the password or change the necessary things in those computers. So if there are a lot of number of computers, then it will be a bigger task, a very tedious task for the administrator. Even say, for example, that the company asks that the employees should not be able to access internet. So to block internet, the administrator will have to sit on every computer and configure those policies in those computers so that the user don't get internet access. So fine, it is a bit tedious task. It is still acceptable if I am not spending money on a server and if my setup is really small. So what is a workaround? Like if my office have say around 20-30 computers or even more, it will be a big task. As a solution to that issue, we will include a server in our network. As in the diagram we see, only we have added one server, which is called domain controller in this. And now the administration is really easy. So how does it work? So nothing is localized now. Every time we need to perform any action, the computer communicates with the server, tells that this user wants to do this thing. Is he or she allowed to do that? The server will respond with an answer, and depending upon that answer, the user can perform that action. So let's consider this login example. So when Eric, who is sitting in the leftmost computer in this diagram, wants to log into his computer, his user details, Eric's, Kevin's and Lucy's, all of their user details are not configured into their computers locally. They are configured in the server. So in that server, they have all the three details of Eric, Kevin and Lucy. So when Kevin wants to log into his computer in the center, he will enter his credential. That computer will ask the domain controller server whether the credential Kevin entered is correct. So if it is correct, it will respond as okay, fine, continue. Similarly, when Eric will log into his computer, he can log in. When Lucy wants to log in to her computer, she can log in. So imagine Eric wants to log into Lucy's computer for exactly the same situation as the previous example. So when Eric will try to log in to Lucy's computer, so he will enter his credential here. So what this computer will do, it will communicate that thing to domain controller and provide that, look, user Eric is trying to log into this computer. Should we allow him? So the server will verify if there are any policies prohibiting Eric to sit there and if the credentials he entered are correct. So if there are no such policies to deny him and if the credentials are correct, this server will say, okay, you can allow him to log in. So this way we say that the login is a domain wide. So Eric, Kevin or Lucy, all of them can log in to any computer of their choice as long as that computer is connected with this domain controller. That is, that computer is in domain. So what is a centralized administration? Say for example, Kevin forgot his password. He wants the administrator to reset his password. So the administrator will change or reset that password directly in that server. Not in his computer, but directly in his server. So what will happen? So anytime Kevin wants to log into any computer, he will be able to log in with the new password. So his new password is replicated to all the computers. Actually not computers, it is in the domain controller server. So whenever any computer would request the authentication, they will be provided with the latest password that was available for Kevin or any user. Again, centralized administration. So how it is? Like if the network administrator wants to block internet access for these three users, he will just set up a policy in the server and that will be applicable to all the machines in my domain. So thus the administration and working becomes very easy, and this is the very good solution if I'm talking about a large or an enterprise setup. So there are many direct domain services like LDAP, Microsoft Active Directory domain services. So today we will be learning about this Microsoft Active Directory domain services. So before jumping further into this topic, we must be aware of certain terminologies of Microsoft Active Directory domain services. In this course, I will refer it to as AD, Active Directory. So what is a domain? So domain is a logical group of users and computers. A group, workstations means I am anything, everything and anything that is a part of this domain will form an object, and that object is following every rules that is set up through my domain controller. If I allow a login, they can. If I don't allow login, they can't. All over the domain. So this is a logical group of users, computers and everything in my domain. So everything that I can perform a centralized administration, I can give centralized security policies. So next is domain controller. The server that manages this is domain controller. That's pretty self-explanatory. The next thing is organizational unit. So in domain, or as I was explaining the domain thing, I said about users, computers and etc. So there might be users from different department of my company. One may be from marketing, one may be from IT, one can be from research. I want to have different policies for them. So what I will do, I will keep those users in containers. In Active Directory, there are default containers We can also make manual containers defining the purpose, and in those containers we can place objects like users, computers, resources, and they are primarily there so that the management becomes easy. Say we can create 3 OUs like organizational units named marketing, IT and research. Inside marketing, we can keep the user objects who are in that department, marketing department. Similarly with IT and research. So if we want to allow a policy, say marketing department can access social media like Facebook, Twitter, they can, but IT and research employees should not be having that access. So all this kind of policies can be controlled with much ease if I keep them in organizational units. Global catalog. Global catalog is like, it is a list of every objects that are there in the domain so that one single object is not repeated. If I have created a user Kevin Jones with one certain details, there will be no other Kevin Jones which is exactly the same. We will not have an identical entity. So global catalog maintains details of every objects that are there in this domain. Now we learned about few terminologies. Let's see what are the domains, what is the basic domain structure, what forms this Active Directory. So first thing is root domain. So when I install Active Directory in any of my server, it creates a domain, and the first domain that is created in my environment is called the root domain. Here in this example, the root domain is company.com. So the next thing that we will come across is child domain. Any domains that we create under the root or parent domain will bear the contiguous namespace of it. That means that if I create my root domain or parent domain as company.com, it must have company.com in it, and in the beginning it might have the domain name. So this domain name is hr.company.com, and see, it is carrying .company.com domain which belongs to parent. So another child domain that has been created is for sales.company.com. Again, it is using the company.com domain and it is acting like child. In naming convention, we can say this as surname and HR as surname. So first name and surname. We can just refer it like that way. Next thing is a tree. Like tree is this collection of the root domain and all the subsequent child domains that forms the contiguous namespace. Obviously, it must have contiguous namespace. We cannot create a child domain inside. Say, example, we create 2 more child domains in hr.com, company.com. Say india.hr.company.com and uk.hr.company.com. That is allowed, but we cannot create india.com inside hr.com. We cannot create a root domain under this with india.com. So that is a tree. Tree is a collection of a parent domain and all the subsequent child domains that bear the same contiguous namespace. Next thing is, what is a forest? So just like this tree, company.com, hr.company.com, sales.company.com. So this represents the business units. Say we have another team that manages the IT assets of this company, the laptop, the email, the website access, websites and everything that is maintained by the company's IT team. So IT team is using the domain corp.com. It can have any domain, but corp.com is an individual domain here, and it is acting as my parent or root domain in this case. Similarly, it has 2 child domains, in.corp domain and uk.corp.com, in.corp.com I meant. So these 2 are its child domains, and again this parent or a root domain and the 2 subsequent child domains that bears the same contiguous namespace forms this tree. So what is a forest? Forest is a collection of trees and it is the largest unit in Active Directory. You cannot have a bigger unit than forest. And in a forest, each tree forms a two-way trust among themselves. So this is a basic about the Active Directory domain services. Next, we will discuss how to set up a lab. We will set up one Active Directory and one client server, that is a computer. And then we can perform a lot of examples as we carry on in this course. Because the best way to learn anything is to get our hands dirty. So wait till we have the next video, and happy learning. Have a great day. Bye-bye.